Good morning. Today I wanted to talk about running as it relates to my 5K a day goal and as it relates to my history with running since I was a kid. Growing up, running was not always a thing that I enjoyed. While I really enjoyed soccer, running was not a thing that I enjoyed as much. As such, my soccer coach put me in a defensive position. I think he was assuming because I did not look like the type of child who would enjoy running, and I didn't at that time, he could put me there. I would have minimal need to run and hopefully minimal need to touch the ball. Unbeknownst to him, or perhaps beknownst to him, our soccer team sucked. The majority of the time, the ball was actually down on our side of the goal, which meant that as a defender, I was running quite a lot, more than the attackers or the forwards on my team. At one point, I asked that coach if I could be promoted to the midfield or to forward so that I could have the chance of scoring a goal on the opposing team, as my team did not have a good track record as it came to scoring goals. And I wanted to see if I could do something about that. But he told me that I did not know how to run, nor was I fast enough for that position. And so I set out in my little mind to prove him wrong and to prove that I could be the fastest runner on my little team. Now, I wouldn't say I ever got to the point where I was the fastest runner overall on my team. But on one particular practice in the middle of a season, I performed better than my entire team at running a mile as fast as possible. Now, you might not say that was the largest achievement little 8th grade chunky Matt could have achieved, but it catapulted me into a love for running that began in 8th grade and continued throughout my high school career, specifically with regard to the soccer playing that I participated in and track, cross country briefly, and other small sporting segments. The summer between my 8th grade and high school years was significant for a majority of reasons, one of which was my increased appreciation for soccer and running. My coach's attitude in high school was similar to that of my 8th grade coach, who did not believe that I possessed the ability to be a midfielder or forward, so I sought out to prove him wrong. While my entire freshman year, I mainly played a defense position, I slowly moved up throughout the rest of my career to occupy the midfield position, which meant that I was running so much during every single game. And as a result, I just began to enjoy running, specifically in goal-oriented activities. So soccer was awesome because I was doing something in addition to running. At that point, I didn't really enjoy running just for the sake of it. I think I was a freshman when I joined the track team. I wanted to find a role where I was running distance, but also I was working on building my speed. And when I told that to my track coach, he suggested that I try the 400-meter run and then the 3,200 relay, which at that time, having no experience with track, I thought, wow, this is a great idea. He's trying to help me accomplish the goals that I want in soccer and running. And then I found out that the 400 is the longest sprint, the longest quasi-sprint in track. So my little butt did not do great at that point. I consistently placed last in every race that I was in, except for one, in which case a person who was significantly slower than me was beaten by yours truly. And I take pride in that one victory. After that, I decided track wasn't for me because I didn't want to sprint anymore. And I tried my hand at cross country, showed up to practice. We had to run a lot. And I'm like, okay, nope, this isn't it. At that point, I had not grown an appreciation for running distance. I just enjoyed that goal-oriented aspect. As high school came and went, I approached my college years with a shifting mindset as it related to exercise. And I decided that I didn't want to develop unhealthy exercise habits. And so I stopped exercising. Yeah, the brain does weird things, and I could probably have justified it in the moment, but retrospectively, really wish that I would have stuck with exercise. It was a few years until I started picking up hiking and biking again, but by that point, the damage had already been done. I had put on some significant weight that I've been working to this day to completely remove. After graduating from college in 2016, I decided that I wanted to focus more on my health, and I began training to run my first ever 5K race. Well, I had definitely run more than a 5K during some of my soccer games in high school. I hadn't done that recently, and I had never done it in a race format. And so I set myself up with a goal of preparing to run a 5K on St. Patrick's Day of 2017. And my wife, Cray, joined me, and I trained together with my mom at points and my cousin at points to get myself race ready. And I loved it, honestly. The process of learning how to run again was gross. Running in Illinois in the summer is gross. And overall, my experience was bad. However, at the end of it, I enjoyed feeling good about myself while I was running. And I said, okay, I'm going to tuck this away. This is going to be a thing that I do more of. And so since leaving Illinois in 2016 to now in 2021, running has always been a thing that I've done on and off, usually like in the summers, maybe early fall, but it would kind of trail off and it would get replaced sometimes by other activities and sometimes just by nothing because I got so busy or I did not prioritize my exercise to the extent that I needed to be able to maintain what I had learned, what I had gained in 2016 and prior to that. This brings us to last year where Cray was running consistently, where I was working on my ability to run distance as well. Cray, I think at the height of her running last year, was able to lap the lake that's by us, which is like a 9 or 10 mile loop. And I said, someday I want to be able to do that. And I began to plan in my mind future times when I could compete in a half marathon or a full marathon. And I think that choosing to start my 5K journey this month of running a 5K a day is tied to that idea. I want to be able to train my body to enjoy running again. And so far things are going great. But I want to get my body back in the mindset of not giving up when it relates to running. I don't want to give up overall. And that's a thing that I'm learning through all these different habits I'm implementing. But running in particular is something that I want to do because I know I enjoy it. When I run longer distance, and for me, long distance right now is just a 5K, I occupy myself either by listening to nothing and just listening to my breathing and to nature as I run around the lake, or I listen to podcasts, or today I listen to a new book. So all those different things are strategies that I implement to help me focus on the task at hand. But yeah, that's all I want to say about running. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow for another daily video. Bye.
Push the button.
I'm pushing the button.
Push the button.
Pushing the button.
Push the button.
I'm pushing the button.
Push the button.
Push the button.